Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Image Comics, we're going to be talking about Hexware, issue number 4. It is written by Tim Seeley, art by Zulema, Scotto, Lavina, colors by Valentina, Cuomo, and then letters by Maurizio, Clausi. And this cover is done by Zulema, Lavina. From now on, I'll be picking up her covers because I'm in love with her art. But before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Let me know down below what you think about this issue, the review, anything you want to. Even if it's about my shirt, the stuff on the wall, I don't care. But really, let's talk about the comic. Alright, so we are in the world of Hexware. We are with this Witchware, as the book titles it, or Andes. They have several different nicknames for androids that are also magical capable. We are actually with this android, and she actually has a human soul in her, which happens to be Jesminder Marks. And that's kind of what we're following. We're kind of following this story about her trying to get her soul back. She has to recapture these escaped convicts from hell. Some of them are shown here on the cover. We got Invictus, we got King, the werewolf, and we got Ogre over here. But she is being tasked to track down these individuals and bring them back to hell. Our last issue, she was about to try and capture this group of individuals, and we kind of found out that she might be working for the enemy as far as what's going on in the real world. In the very beginning, when Jesminder Marks happened to pass away, she ended up dying. It was because of an explosion that happened at the lower levels where this book takes place. I forget the name of it. It's like Res America or something like that. But we are finding out that maybe her family has something to do with said bombing. In the last issue, Invictus had kind of made her aware that her father might be involved in something shady, and she was tasked to go find information in his office about that. So here we go. The book starts out with this. It's kind of like it's really like an event or something like that, like a ceremony. But we got this guy John. I think his name is. Let me see. He's the CEO and lead engineer of Humor's Company, which happens to run everything in this set world. But I think it's pronounced Yayan Candy. I don't know how you pronounce that. Jian, Jayan, or Jane Candy. I don't know. I'm gonna go with that. But we got the mayor, and he's basically introducing Jane, and he basically telling the crowd that Jane has something to tell everybody, and he goes back to tell people about this drug that he invented and made for people because the world was depressed. He was giving it out free, and it does make people happy and stuff, but they did get addicted to it, and now he is announcing that the world is happy again, and he's cutting off the free medication, and the crowd goes wild when they should be kind of upset because he's cutting off the free drugs, right? We do have this little scene in the background where the mayor kind of mentions to these other girls, which happens to be his wives. We find out he's got 3 wives. But the mayor mentions that that the crowd is kind of cheering, even though the drug dealer is cutting them off, kind of thing. We jump over to our main story with Jesminder, and she's doing her witchware stuff at home. It's kind of a deja vu moment where she is outside the father's office waiting for the father to get done, and she's remembering when she was a little girl, waiting outside her dad's office so she could play with him, kind of thing. Eventually we get this knock at the door from her best friend and family friend, Ren, and he's asking the dad if he has something to do so he can make some money. Another deja vu moment for Jesminder. But this is just a distraction to get the dad away from the computer. Jesminder quickly goes over there, downloads some most of the files on the computer. And eventually, while this is going on, Ren happens to talk the father into allowing Jesminder to go with Ren. He kind of, states, for like companionship, but also mental awareness, that kind of thing. And the mom and the dad agree to let the witchware go with Ren. They think it'll be a good thing. Um, but really, they are secretly heading to meet with that group with Invictus and King and Ogre. They arrive there, and the Witchware, Jesminder, has already been at work. She made this whole seal for them to operate within, and basically, once Jesminder gets there, they're going to magically download the information from her, as I'm about to show you right here. Basically, all this fire stuff. She does pull out this blueprint. On the blueprint, you'll notice these dots. They're all like weak points in the city's grid. And one of those points just happened to got bombed. At first, Jesminder, kind of states that just because her father has a blueprint doesn't mean he's guilty. But Invictus kind of points out that he has notifications of the weak points that kind of does. Um, with Jesminder still trying to defend her father, but it kind of comes at like a failed expense, because Invictus kind of tells the story about that she does use her demonic appearance, her succubus appearance, to appear sometimes as the devil, and some people kind of take that as, hey, she's Satan or whatever, and they get scared, and some people confess. And she happened to come across this one guy from the upper levels, and he ends up that he did confess, to a whole bunch of other stuff, mainly knowledge of, it was like a program that they put a like a blind spot in the Andes and the Android programming or whatever, and that's what he's covering up. Um, there is something that was mentioned when Ren went to go get, was trying to get Jesminder away from the father and mom, that he had mentioned he had a business meeting to go to, and he was kind of keeping it secret. We jump over to the father and said business meeting, and we find out he is meeting with none other than the mayor himself. But it quickly leads to, one of those bad situations. The father mentions that he needs to tell the mayor something, and in the background you can already see something setting up. A girl with a bag, and another girl looked like she's about to kick the hell out of him, and sure enough, they put a bag over his head, and they kick him off at the top of the rooftops, and they're basically at the top of this, this really super tall city, because in this landscape, the world goes upward. Kind of like Coruscant in Star Wars. Basically, the mayor stating that, the guy had some information or something, and he was too much of a liability. His wives, that's who ends up kicking him off, do the deed, and basically that they're off to go have, steaks or whatever. But in the background, you can see that Invictus saves the father, and Jesminder, Ogre, and King are there to beat up the girls, and the mayor, try and find out why the mayor was trying to kill the dad. The mayor does activate this little button on his like on his collar, which happens to make all his wives go like super buff. It's some kind of like magical spell, but they do double in size, and this massive like battle breaks out. It's so fantastic, this whole battle. But basically the monster crew kind of ends up winning out. They end up killing all three of the wives, which they're not real people. They're just androids. But one by one they are taken out, and King ends up he ends up getting slashed in the chest, and the android that was working on him is surprised that there's no plastic underneath, thinking that he was an android, and he's like, nope, but your stuff will be inside my belly that's going to fill that. Ogre does end up getting this android, and we saw from when he was fighting Jesminder that he's able to take out androids pretty easily. And last but not least, we get to see Jesminder in some action, and I'm not clear on what she does, but I want to say, she basically burns the inside of this android out. She makes all the smoke and fire kind of stuff, and then the next thing we see is, the android just kind of like smoking out. She's not burning, but she's smoking out. Maybe she had the oxygen take out. I don't know if these androids, but eventually they do all go for the mayor. Invictus does grab the mayor, and as soon as she grabs the mayor, Jesminder is trying to get information from the mayor on why he was trying to kill her dad. It comes out that he really didn't know why he was tasked to kill the mayor, just that it was kind of a loose end kind of thing, to help cover up the real American type thing. As soon as she's getting this information, we do find out that Invictus did double cross Jesminder. There is a seal that happens to be like where she's standing, and as soon as she happens to go into the seal, she is teleported, and we find out that she's teleported to hell, just like she was going to, due to the, werewolf Invictus and King. The group walks away after seeing the burning seal and completing what they had to complete. There is this moment where like Invictus is going to drop the mayor, and the mayor actually clicks that thing and grows all big. He ends up breaking the grasp. It is not shown what happens to him, but over here it is stated that that they weren't supposed to kill the mayor. So I'm assuming the mayor ended up dying. Maybe he fell from his long haul. There is a brief little scene about, since Ren has the dad in safety, he was the one who ended up grabbing him and taking him away. He ends up, getting him to his car, and the dad kind of mentions, hey, how did you know that I was in trouble, kind of thing, and he was like, I didn't, I just had a feeling. It was more Jesminder. But we do see what happens to Jesminder, and both versions of her, because now I'm assuming we're in hell. This is the little girl version of Jesminder, and we do see the Witchware version of Jesminder walk up, and she asks that classic thing, do you want a sweater? Seems like we're going to be here for a long time, kind of thing. And that's the end of this issue. We do get a small preview of what's to come from the next issue, but that's it. I don't know what I can say about this. This book was already one of my favorites, but this issue right here just got even more fantastic. The art, the lettering, the paneling, everything is just, the story is superb. It is, I wouldn't say, the whole Pinocchio thing, it wasn't really in this issue. Maybe it was and I missed it. But other than that, it's still a fantastic read and one of my highly anticipated books that I look out for every single time it drops because it is so fantastic. Not only that, but I am really becoming a huge fan of Zulema's art. Enough so I'm picking up her covers and finding other stuff. I just picked up The Little Mermaid from Dark Horse Comics because of Zulema. But hey, that's my review. You let me know down below what you're thinking of this book. Are you liking it? Are you loving it? I usually do get good feedback from the community about this book, but let me know what you're thinking about it, Everybody's always split on decisions, so I definitely can imagine there's some on this book, but me, I'm loving it. Oh my God, it's a knockout of the park. Tim, you're doing a great job. Zulema. Alright guys, that's all I got for you. Bye. Y'all have a good one.